Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Confidence Leads to Success interview series with me, Elif Köse. I'm really excited to have this phenomenal woman with me in the room, Hyacinth Myers. I have got a real pronunciation problem when it comes to different names, but I'm sure you'll forgive me. She is a life strategist, an empowerment coach, author, and international speaker, and I have the honor to have her with us. She's going to share her wisdom and her experience, how we can all overcome anything that we have got, and we are not broken. Hello, Hyacinth, welcome.
Oh, hi, Elif. How are you?
Great, so good to have you here, and I'm so excited what you have got to share with us because I know so many women going through in their life, going through divorce, going through business change, they're changing careers. That it's like we all have. I mean, I haven't met anyone who hasn't been through adversity. Have you?
No, no, it's just actually how we view it.
Exactly. So I'm so excited to hear how you hold. I mean, you are a very compassionate woman you're helping women to create like circles and create workshops to help them feel more aligned with their soul. So I'd love you to share with us how you do this.
Wow, it just feels like it's actually my lifetime of work. So I'm actually going to go back just a little bit. I started off doing a lot of community work from the age of 15. I realized actually, coming from a home where there was a lot of violence, that there must be people outside who are going through something similar or worse. And so for me, instead of focusing on what was happening, I decided to focus on how can I help community. So I started working with children, and then I've worked in various fields in community work for 35 years. It's really the last 6 years I've always loved women and loved actually when we sit down, share stories, eat food, and just naturally inspire each other. So I started doing it about 6 years ago, actually, with this business, because I realized that actually sharing our stories is so powerful, but actually sitting down and talking about honestly the steps and the tools that we've learned, because some of us, and I think a lot of us, we've been through so many different ways of resolving our
Yes.
stories, actually, that is valuable stuff to share. So when you think about business, a lot of the time they don't think about the intricacies of like the life work and the personal development that we do. And
Mhm.
it's actually, for me, it's really about returning the woman back to herself, because I think there was a quote I was reading by Rumi, which said something like, we don't, oh, such a shame I haven't got it. We don't find our soul. We actually go on a journey to remember it. So it's really about helping a woman connect with her soul on a much deeper level. So it's like stripping away the stories, taking away comparisons,
Old
and actually
beliefs.
looking at everything you've been through and why that was there. Because I just think every situation we've been through, especially the negative ones, they teach us negative things and characteristics we can work on, actually getting
Yes,
rid of those. But there's something positive in every negative lesson.
that's
And
right.
once we start building on all of that, that's when we can start breaking through and actually coming out of whatever it is. Because I do think a lot of the time we stay stuck in our past, and that's why we can't move forward, because we're replaying the stories, but we're not looking at
And
the
in the
lessons we
past, I
learned.
think that's the one thing that to remind to ourselves and everybody around us, like whatever happened, it's happened in the past. I think
Yeah.
once we just switch that mindset and just go into our today's thought and today's view and today's beliefs rather than what had happened and what would others think, I think we
Mhm.
would get to a better position, don't you think?
Yeah, yeah, and that's all of what people are talking about. Living mindfully, because
Yeah.
yeah, why do we want to actually chastise ourselves or just hold on to this stuff? And I do really
The
believe
old
that once we
energy, but
get,
how do we clear that? Do you have any methods that can actually empower us?
um, in my own work, what I actually use, I mean, because what I used personally for myself was a lot of guided meditations and hypnotherapy. So I use a lot of guided meditations because I feel like a lot of the time when we're about to really do work on ourselves, one, it's quite scary. Two, we're always thinking someone's going to judge us. And three, we're still in our head. So even me and you talking, you know, a lot of the time people are still in their head. What is she
With our
thinking about
cortex.
me? What's happening? Yeah. So I actually tried to get them out of their head and just get that quiet time where they can just do the guided meditation, do some journaling, and then it's a lot of the time, then you start, it comes to you, the wisdom comes to you individually, and then you'll know your next step once you start tapping into your intuition.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I find myself sometimes talking to myself with the negative. There's, like, I've got two imaginary people in my head. One is always talking positive, and there's always like, oh yeah, but on the
Yeah.
other side, constantly reminding me of the things that had happened to me or somebody else. It's not necessarily always me. Sometimes it can
Yeah.
be somebody else's story or somebody else's old beliefs, and that kind of holds me back from the life that I want to live.
Hmm.
Now, you were
Yeah.
talking about the 7 steps of empowerment. What is that all about? Can we actually do it?
Yes, we can. We can actually. So I'm going to tell you how it came to me first.
Yes,
Um,
please go for it.
because it's not something I just sat down and just wrote. And yeah, I didn't. I'd done a lot of meditation. I vision a lot as well. So I just had a lot of visions coming to me. And before I knew it, the actual 7 steps were there. But I just thought, what is that? What am I going to do with this? And then I realized it's actually like an epiphany. It's the 7 steps I've been living my life by, probably since maybe the beginning of my early 30s. Definitely when I got to about 34, that was quite a life-changing year for me. So I realized that's what it was, and then I thought, actually I need to share it. And for me, I just knew I had, that's what I share with women actually. So I just talk to them about the 7 steps, and we go through them and do various kind of exercises and things to bring out, you know,
It's
like
so
their
beautiful
healing.
that you do that. Instead of just keeping it for yourself and healing yourself, you're on a mission to help all of us to have that
Yes,
same sense of freedom,
it
isn't it?
is,
It's
because
freedom.
I've met so many, oh, I think in all of my work and just my life, personal life, I meet so many wonderful women, and so many were stuck in their stories. Amazing women though, but people only thought, oh, she's only a mother. There's no such thing as only a mother anyway, because a mother does so much. But you know,
Exactly.
she's only this, she's only that. And I'm thinking, then a lot of the time, because that programming is there, then the woman's thinking, I'm only this. But when I start talking to them about what they did before children, if they've got children, or what they actually did before whatever it is role they're in, my God, some amazing stories. And then usually it's just little things like they stopped because of something really quite small. So I'm like, we need to break through that so you can
Yeah.
get moving.
It's so true. I mean, I am quite a good learner of other people's stories, and this is one of the biggest reasons why I started organizing my interview series, just to create a platform for inspiring women with gifts and their experts in their fields to share their stories, to actually just show the other women there is a way. And I
Yeah.
love what you were doing, and it was so lucky that we've met through this common group that we're both member of, um, and how willingly you were ready to share your wisdom, and actually creating. I know so many people want to have that magic tablet to take and resolve everything overnight, but it doesn't happen like that.
No.
There are steps, and I love that you created 7 steps to
Hmm.
empower yourself, and actually taking that into other people's, put it in front of other people's life so they can actually go through the steps in their own time.
Yeah. Yeah. Because also what I realized about it, because I didn't even know what to call this thing when it was actually written. I just thought, I don't even know what it's called. So that's why I said I really didn't sit down planning. But actually it's called Empower 7. So the Empower is actually an acronym anyway. And I realized that people also come in sometimes in different points of that kind of stage. But I feel like it doesn't matter where the woman is in her life, once she's moved through those steps, then actually she's in a much different place.
Are
And
you
she's
going to
actually got
share
the
them with us?
self-direction. I actually am.
Hey! Come on,
I
ladies,
am.
get the notepads out. We're writing it down.
So the first step is actually the Eve, which is for embrace. And the first step is really about what I like to do, and I always say is look at your life where you are now. So it's actually about reflecting back on where it is. So we chronologically go back, what's been going on in your life, what things you've achieved, what things you're really happy about, what things were quite negative that had an impact. But you're actually looking at where you are and not just embracing, because you can be in a really difficult place. And it's sometimes if you say to people embrace, they're like, oh my God, it's too hard. But accept where you are, because without acceptance, you can't move forward. And like we said, a lot of the people that are stuck in the past is because they can't accept what's happened. So the acceptance is probably the hardest stage. But once you know where you are and you're accepting, then
Okay,
actually that's when you can
so what
start
we do
moving.
first step, we write down our chronological where we are, our achievements, our everything that we've got
Yeah.
till today to
Mhm.
accept and embrace who we are now. Is that right?
Yeah.
It's not going to be that quick. I'm definitely going to do this. After
Yeah.
our interview, I'll definitely do it because it's going to take a little while to write all that down. But
It
seeing that
is.
clearly, it's going to give you the clarity will give you quite a big confidence.
Yeah, and it will it's quite impactful. I mean, it can take some women longer to write that down, because obviously if you're going through memories, but I always say if you're going through memories that are really painful memories, just actually imagine yourself holding yourself. So you're actually holding the hand of that woman.
Yeah.
So you're safe where you are now, and you're just looking at it as an outsider. So you don't really go into the deep emotions and the pain that whatever was actually at the time of where you was at that space, actually.
Oh my goodness. Okay, this is so good. It's giving me goosebumps. So next, what's the second step?
The second step is actually M for motivate, and motivate is really about finding ways to motivate yourself, because I think we are constantly taught that we need to look outside all of the time for people to motivate us. And even though that is actually good, and that is a good part of actually how we live, we have to really learn how we can motivate ourselves when we're not getting the motivation we need from outside. And that's just really so that it actually encourages us to be a little bit more self-reliant at those times where maybe friends are not available, family's not in the space to, colleagues can't,
So it's
or partners.
motivation as a second step. So if you're not motivated, but if what I always say to my ladies, my group, my community, that if we're not always motivated. I mean, I'm not. I come across like always very high, motivated, and excitable. But I have my days that I feel so low, so calm,
Mm,
and so don't really want to be in public or not even get out of my room. So what keeps me going is not so much that because I've got motivation in me or people around me to motivate me, but I have got a plan that I've
mhm.
got to keep it going.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
keeps me motivated, having a plan.
It's true, and the main kind of creative thing I do at that point is really we start looking at creating a kind of a vision board. They're becoming so cliche now, but a vision board actually of just where you want to be, and some of the experiences. So I always say to the women, if you don't want to really focus on goals, because some people are really just not goal orientated like that, but what are the experiences you want to have in the next year, and
Yeah.
actually have a visual representation of that. So I always have my boards. I've also got a vision book that I've actually got, like a really beautiful scrapbook. so that I can write letters from the universe. I can write letters to myself. I can keep things that are really tangible for something that actually I've achieved that was on my vision board or celebrated,
Love
or
it.
really lovely memory. That I keep that in that book as well. And
Beautiful.
also things like gratitude jars, you know, or if somebody sent you a really lovely text. We know technology is so fast. I write it down on a little notice in my gratitude jar. And days when I'm feeling tired or like I can't, you know, like how am I going to get
You
through
need
this
a
because
bit
there's a
of
lot going on.
motivation.
I tip it out and I just read them and I think, oh my God, yeah, that lovely message, because it's long gone from your phone.
I've got one of them. You know,
Yeah.
it's not just the messages. Like I sometimes come home, like for instance, how I was trying to carry two suitcases, and a hand luggage and a small child and a buggy in the airport, and how this gentleman came and helped me.
Yeah.
Well, I even
Yeah.
write that and how grateful I felt at that moment. I actually kept it in my mind so I didn't forget till I got home to write that
Yeah.
down, because sometimes we feel like there are days you have bad day in traffic, bad day at work, bad day at the phone with somebody. It's just
Mhm.
going, you think there is no goodness left in the world, and just going back and reading those things actually I love that. I'm so
Yeah.
pleased
It's
that
so
you
true.
told me that now.
Yeah.
I do it.
That's good. And then the third step is actually P for power. And that's really just us really thinking about the power that we've got, what we've actually achieved already.
Mhm.
Um, and especially some of the difficult circumstances, how we actually went through that, what things we actually learned, what tools we've actually got for ourselves. So it's really good for us to share how I've done things. But if we've got 10 women in a group, 10 women, oh my God, there could be maybe 100 ideas there of
That's
like things that people haven't actually thought of or they haven't done, experienced. So the
amazing.
power, and I always make, then me and the women kind of make a little talisman, like a little key ring or something, so that when they feel like they don't have power, they've actually got something physical to look at, to actually
Okay.
feel and touch and just think about that time and the conversation we had around that time.
Amazing. Okay. Make note of the things that powers you.
Yeah.
Okay. That was step three.
Yep. Step 4 is O, and that's for overcoming. So we just go deeper into things that you've overcome. So we look more about the things that have been harder in your life, actually, but how you've overcome them and what skills they've given you, what qualities you'd really like to kind of use going forward, and
Mhm.
how other people that you've, you know, that have inspired you, how they've overcome things as well. So it is quite a
They are
reflective.
the kind of so these are it's so amazing. I love it because those are the kind of things would actually be a torch for me in the times of darkness.
Mhm.
Knowing what had happened and how I come through them will actually help me, almost like my own index to go back and
Yeah.
amazing.
And I think once it's written down, because the thing is, we're so used to life just living it and getting on, we really, I don't know, I'm a lover of the word and I just love writing anyway. But I just think once we've got it down in black and white, because we're such logical people like this and we've been programmed from childhood to be like that,
The
I
logic.
just think once we've got it in writing, we can't actually dispute it. It's something we have been through. So now go back and just think, okay, I went through that. Oh my God, I forgot about that. That was maybe 10 years ago. And look at this now. So a lot of the time we feel like we haven't moved. But if we start doing really deep kind of soul reflections, actually, we can see how much we have moved. And it
It's
might not
true.
look like it to someone outside, but internally we can see.
It is so good. Oh my God, ladies, I hope you are doing it as we're talking about this because this is life changing. It really is. Thank you. Okay,
Oh,
where were we? Overcoming and R.
we're on W. Well,
W. Sorry, I just went to the end.
yeah,
Sorry.
so we're on the W. which is actually about wellness, and that's where we really just look holistically at ourselves. What do we normally do under stress? Because actually keeping ourselves well, and I know that's really the last thing a lot of the time we want to hear, but if you're somebody, like for me, if I'm under a lot of stress, I tend not to want to eat because I don't have much of an appetite. But then I have to remember, actually, I need to be eating, because when I'm not eating regularly and I'm under stress, then it creates me maybe not sleeping well. And then the stress actually feels much more intense than it actually is. And
Mhm.
if we think about, like even with wellness, it doesn't need to last as long. But when we start self-inflicting the physical symptoms, actually,
Mhm.
of some of the stress, then actually it
I
can
get
just
this.
feel like it goes on.
I get cold sores when I'm stressed.
Oh, okay. I actually, I need my glasses. I thought it was a lovely little earring there.
You keep thinking that. But I get when I'm stressed, when I feel overwhelmed, when I feel like I've got so much to do and I haven't got enough time, I get I get cold sores either there or here, or sometimes inside my mouth that you don't get to
Okay.
see. But those are the moments I know, and my mom knows. She would ask me, "Are you stressing about things? Are
Yeah,
you okay?" She will know because my body's reaction is just comes out.
yeah. What's really good to do, because I don't know how many years ago, maybe about 8 years ago, I did a Raja yoga meditation course with the Brahma Kumaris down in Willesden. And one of the things I used to use, because I used to sometimes get into a cycle of thinking and and overthinking in times, especially when stressed, it's so good to, we've got our phones with us most of the time, set an alarm for every 2 hours for 2 minutes, just to have 2 minutes silence with yourself. One, check in to see how you're feeling. Are you grounded? Are you doing what you wanted to do? Or are you in that cycle of the kind of the feeling the stress, and you're kind of pent up? Or do you need to change actually where you want what you're doing? And just those 2 minutes every 2 hours in
Mhm.
your day can really make a difference.
Yeah, I love
Really make a
meditation,
difference.
but I remember when I first started, I kept having these conversations in my head, like I can't meditate, I just can't sit still for 10 minutes. I think
Mm,
it was because it was my fear to face myself, to sitting with myself all alone in quietness.
yeah,
Um, that was my excuse not to do it, but I absolutely love it. It really helps to calm my brain, calm
yeah,
my thoughts. And that actually, even though it feels like you are just sitting there doing nothing and not being productive, but it's actually the most productive thing I do every day, every morning, having that
yeah.
15 minutes of meditation. It's really, really helpful for me.
It is. And even though, because those ones are like 2 minutes and you don't really have to meditate, if you're not into meditation or you're not at that space, just even going from one room to the next, just in silence, and then things kind of come to your, like they're in your mind, then you can think. And if you've got a lot of stuff in your mind, just get a piece of paper and write every single thing down, so you're literally empty in your mind.
Yeah.
You're just emptying it, and then it can actually feel like it's got space.
That's right. Love it. Okay, now we're at the step six, E.
Yeah. And that's actually about emotional intelligence. And that's really about reflecting on how you are with people when you're stressed, how you respond to people. And it's about thinking about how you respond rather than react. Because when we're under stress, a lot of the time, I think the most common thing is for people to shout, snap, oh my God, just get really kind of moody. But if we actually just think, okay, that used to be me as well. But if you just think, like literally just breathe, just have 5 breaths and just think, actually, how am I going to respond? Because it's so much more powerful. Because if we really think about it, an emotion only lasts for 90 seconds. And they always say that. So why are we actually angry for hours?
Yeah.
Why we it for hours? If we kind of grab it within that first 90 seconds, I just feel like it makes such a difference. And
I
even
think
I've got,
when I'm stressed, I'm thinking, or and I know so many of us the same, that when you're stressed, your reaction at this stressful moment to your closest ones are completely different than people you
yeah,
don't really know or you know a little. So the closer you get to the person, the reactions are a bit more dramatic.
yeah,
I think it's that expectancy of being understood from our loved ones, I think, or we just are looking for that extra caring from them.
hmm,
And if they don't deliver that because we expect them to understand and
yeah,
feel and and mercy us in a way, we seem to kind of snap and snap. I do. I don't do as much, but it's sometimes if I'm really tired and stressed and sad at the same time, I can be really rutty.
hmm,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think it's actually just really good to just kind of think like when you're stressed like that, just say breathe. Just say it in your head, breathe, because then that can actually stop you making maybe just a remark or something else actually, and then you can feel it. I think once you start getting into the practice of that,
Hmm.
then you can have people say things and you can not just step back and think, okay, that's where they are, but I don't need to respond to that now. And it's taken me years to actually be able to get to that point. Not to say I do it all of the time, but I can now get to a point of think, oh my God, the old me would have been responding, responding, responding. And now I can just sit down and think, okay, some of their life stories, some of what's happening with them now, that's the reason. And I'm choosing not to engage with that actually right now and just like sending them love. Yeah.
Love that. Okay, now we got to the last one.
Yes, the last one is actually R for resilience. So that's actually we've done all of this work and we're going to look back on everything, but especially how we've overcome and write down the lessons for how. So we've actually got our own toolbox, and this is where I do what's called the emotional first aid box. So you literally can just draw it on the paper, and it's everything that makes you feel good when you're at a point of struggling. So everything you've used. So if, like for me, well, if I'm under a lot of stress, maybe it's because my mum's English. I like to watch Carry On films to unwind. It's really silly, but actually I do. So that's one of the things in my first aid box. Another one is to phone a really good friend. Another one is to write. So whatever it is that you really enjoy doing that you don't get to do a lot of, just put that down in your box and know that at least when you're going through stress, you can just look at that and say, okay, what out of that can I do now, right now? Yeah.
Just like having your own help book.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Amazing. So good. Thank you so much. We are so lucky to have you and sharing this. It's like almost like literally, ladies, this is going to help you. I'm definitely going to do this, by the way, because with all the things going on in the world, I'm a mother to a 4 year old now,
Okay.
and we are in Turkey at the moment. I'm actually at my friend's flat, and staying with her for a few days, just here for my new collections launch.
Okay.
Then I have we decided to stay in Turkey for a little while before our son starts school, because once they start school, your life is taken over with their school holidays,
Yeah.
and then you can only do things in those dates. So we thought this is our last opportunity to actually enjoy our country, and let him learn a bit of Turkish and his heritage, and
Yeah.
go back to our normal life. But it has been really stressful, and I'm quite a resilient and always resourceful when it comes to the things, and I always look for solution and never focus on the problems. But I seem to kind of forgot what I was doing because I'm
Yeah.
out of my usual environment. So if
Yeah.
now I'm going to have these written down because I've forgotten. And now, as we were talking, my brain was typing it all down to
Yeah.
remind me what were the things that I actually help. And one thing I actually love doing, what we're doing now, that
Hmm.
gives me resilience, talking to other women.
Yeah.
I think it just makes so much sense now why I'm still doing it, even though I am miles away from my home. My last meeting I did, my interview, I was in other country. The one
Mm.
before I was in another city, but it gives me so much pleasure. I
Yeah.
absolutely love having these conversations. So I think I definitely know one of them. It gives me resilience, hearing other people's stories and their wisdom.
It does, and it just builds up what we can use in the future for ourselves as well. So apart
Mm.
from just like I love hearing stories, and when you've got something practical in a story, because we always get something practical from everyone's story regardless of how they share it.
Yeah.
um, that's what really just builds us up, and I think that's when we are really able to rise above everything and just know that anything is possible.
Thank you so much for what you've just shared with us.
Thank
You
you.
definitely have helped. I know so many women, our listeners, will feel the same. Um, um, I'm going to share all your details on the show notes so that everybody gets to connect with you. I mean, you are an award-winning woman who does a lot of services for community, and you have appeared on BBC Breakfast, haven't you?
Yes, I have, and that was because I actually talk about women's issues as well. That was around the whole menopause and perimenopause series that they was doing at the time. Yeah, so I talk about that, and also baby loss as well.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, honestly, ladies, you must connect with her because she's doing such incredible things, and she's really compassionate soul. And just 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 get to know her. I tell you, you won't regret. Thank you so much for being here. I'm just going to ask you last question before I let you go and do your amazing work. What does the definition of confidence for you?
Confidence for me actually means just being able to live the life that I want, the way I want to have it, actually, and without thinking the first thing is comparing it to someone else.
Amazing.
Because, yeah,
Just be you,
yep, definitely.
authentically.
Yeah.
Thank you
And I
so
do have
much.
sorry, before we go as well, I've actually got a quote, and I want to just actually leave this quote with your listeners as
Please
well.
do. Thank
And my
you.
quote is actually that we are not victims of our circumstances, we are soul conscious creators of our future. And I think once we remember that we are the creators, actually, yeah, we start thinking in a different way.
So good.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you so much. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you. Um, and I will definitely be in touch. We'll do more work together, that's for sure. Ladies, thank you
Thank you.
for tuning in and wait for our next episode. I have got incredible women lined up to give you all their wisdom and all their experiences only to keep the torch and light your way so you find that freedom and the confidence and the life that you deserve. Thank you. Have a lovely day.
Thank you.